Thank you.
There we go.
Perfect.
And now for their more formal introduction,
Here we go. Here, I'll move this closer.
we have Kelly Chase from Love is Blind Season 1.
Woo!
Lauren Chamblin of Love is Blind Season 1.
Woo!
And finally, Annaliese Puccini of The Bachelor.
Ow!
So London was supposed to be here, but, had some life things that came up that I think we could all imagine what that was. So she will be doing a future event with us. So if you come to LA, you'll get to hear from her. But in the meantime, we have these amazing women. So Lauren and Kelly both flew in from Atlanta to be here.
Amazing.
So it's quite unbelievable. And Annaliese is a local. And actually, Annaliese and Kelly were both at our last event in LA in March. And they walked in the fashion show. And Kelly got interviewed by Us Magazine. And it was a lot of fun. And so Meagan and I had this concept of, well, why don't we have a panel on relationships? This is what one of our pillars of our organization, yet somehow we're always just like running around. We never really get to discuss all of these things that we're supposed to be talking about, which is relationships. So we were really lucky enough to be able to have these women here who all look really beautiful, by the way. Well, it's the end of the night. God knows what I look like. But
We've been running around.
So in any event, that being said, we're going to get started here.
Which is like Kelly, which is great. I get to start with you, and I feel like I haven't even talked to you at all tonight. I apologize. I actually got to meet Kelly at the last event. I'll just tell a cute story. I was like, oh my God, it's Kelly from season 1. I was so excited and nervous. And then actually we were texting and we became like little friends, and it's great. So, but actually I haven't even spoken to her at all tonight because I've been running around.
Hello.
So, yeah. Now we get a photo after the panel for sure. Okay. So anyways, we're kicking it over to you right away. And I actually love this question because it's kind of juicy. Who here has actually watched season 1 of Love is Blind? Okay, great. So you have that's good. You have some reality on Kelly's experience. Okay, so let's see. All right, so you've seemingly loved and lost, or loved and moved on. What can you tell us about what you learned about finding the right partner from the show, essentially?
Okay, hello everyone. I'm so nervous with a mic in my hand, although I love public speaking. Okay, so what is really ironic is that my last name is Chase. However, what I learned most about love is that we don't need to chase men anymore. Because that's what I used to do for years and years and years. And what that does is actually push them further and further away. They don't like girls who are needy and graspy and wanting them by their beck and call all the time, right? We're all individual humans. We're all living our own life. We all have our own purpose. We all have our own mission in life. We're all on our own journey. And I think there are a handful of things, so I'm going to kind of bullet list some things, but respect people for where they're at on their journey. If they're not ready for love, if they're not ready to be with you, and they're not, they may be saying things, but if their actions aren't in alignment with what they're saying, then that's a big red flag, right? So let them go, let them be, and be on their journey and respect it. And you know what? Just chalk it up to, it's just a misalignment, and that's okay because there is someone else out there that is more aligned for me. And that's a beautiful thing. Granted, I had to go on a freaking TV show to figure that all out, but, but yeah, I say that. Some other things that just through my, I do a lot of deep, healing work. I'm a mindset coach, life coach through all of this too. And, writing out a list of what your dream partner actually is, how they treat you, how you want to be treated in the relationship, how you want to actually show up in the relationship too. It's not all on them. So writing all of that out, it's funny because I was telling some girls earlier, I was when I did do Love is Blind, first interview was oh, what do you look for in a guy? And I literally listed out physical attributes first. And after filming, last interview, what do you look for in a guy? And I listed out all the ways that I want to be treated.
Wow.
All the like emotional qualities and that kind of thing. So I was like, wow, I learned something. It was like profound. But anyways, yeah, so writing out your dream list and really acknowledging like, okay, while you're dating, whatever, is this person meeting all of these requirements on your list, right? Are they treating me this way? Are they making me feel this way? It's the energy, it's the energy that you want to feel. If they aren't, again, it's like, what will you accept? What will you not accept? Leave them to their own journey if they're not ready for you, okay? You are the one. I was telling these girls over there earlier. I was like, I love this line I learned from another coach, a friend of mine, but she was just like, we're always saying like, oh yeah, I'm like trying to find the one. I'm trying to find the one. And it's like, no, baby, you are the one, okay? You are the one. You are just attracting the one. Like you're attracting someone to come to you, but you actually are the one. 2 more things that I'll point out because I know we're on a time strike. But create boundaries. A lot of us women don't have boundaries, or we think that we have boundaries, but then we're always letting them just take advantage of us in certain ways. And okay, create boundaries. That means bring awareness to what these boundaries are. Write it out. Make a journal prompt about it. And the biggest thing, honor them. Honor them. Don't just write the list. You have to actually honor them. And date yourself. Take yourself on solo dates. Like, you have to learn how to treat yourself how you want to be treated, and you'll start to change the emotional energy inside of your body, and you will start to attract the right type of person that you're actually looking for in. So I've learned a lot.
Beautiful. Well,
I can go on.
Thank you. I was like, I think that list is...
Sorry.
Woo! Yes. I was like, we're all taking mental notes. That was very helpful. So thank you for all of those details. Some lessons I'm like, yeah, we all need a reminder on that. And, we all can always, this is something from someone else, Elena Cardone, but recreate the list even if you are married. You can always revisit the list, both you and your partner. So
yes, and
great.
I was gonna touch on that real quick. Like, as far as anyone who is married, like if your husband isn't or your partner is not showing up for you the way that you want them to, okay, ladies, don't mother your husband. They already have one. Don't do it. Empower them. Invite them to help you. Invite them to do things. That is what they want. So they want to feel needed. They want to feel like they're needed in your life. So telling them like, babe, why didn't you take out the trash? That's probably what their mom did to them. Be like, babe, I love the way you take out the trash. Okay?
I love it. Noted.
Do it.
So good. Okay, well, one more question while we have you here. So, and this is great because you kind of were touching a little bit on this, but what can you tell us about being intentional in not just finding the right partner, but in everything you choose in life?
Yes. So intentionality is so big. Again, it kind of goes back into alignment, like really knowing what you want. I'm a big journaler, guys. So like write out a list of like everything that you really desire in life, what you're wanting in your career, in your profession, your business, career, in your health, financially, spirituality, health, everything, relationships. Write out exactly what you're looking for and go after it, okay? Again, it's kind of like anything that's not that, put it to the side. Don't hold yourself back. And another woman was talking about, just don't believe it, like what other people are saying about you, or like, just go after your dreams and your goals and everything. And so the intentionality there is, okay, yeah, you're going to do that, but just remember, like, y'all, we're all programmed. We're all programmed by society, generational, environmental, like whatever. We are programmed, and our subconscious mind is constantly saying, we're not worthy of that, we're not worthy of that. But if you are saying positive affirmations, looking yourself in the mirror every single day and being like, I'm a fucking badass, and I can do this shit. Like, and you know what? Like, honestly, like, if you want to be like a freaking astronaut, or you want to be like another Jennifer Lopez, whoever, like whatever, like keep going for your dreams. Like keep going until you are dead. You have an opportunity in this life. Okay? You can be J-Lo. You can be the next J-Lo. Whatever you want, but just like, it's just always following that alignment. Okay, if this action doesn't serve you and it doesn't bring you joy, don't do it.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's so true. Sorry, I'm thinking about so many things. I'm like, wait, what thought was that? Yeah, no, it's really interesting too because I am married, and you also change.
Yeah.
And you know, Megan and I met as business partners after we were married, right? So, and then your business changes, right? Like so many things change. So, you know, you do have to, this is just kind of going back to the list, you just learn a lot, right? You really reevaluate what's important. When you have kids, it's a whole other level. That's what I'm going through right now, what's important and so on. So, anyways, it's just, I'm not really stating anything significant except that it is, you know, it's very interesting. There's a lot of things to learn, a lot of growing to do, and really knowing what you want. It's going to evolve over time, right?
Absolutely.
So,
yeah. Just making sure there's time for you, you know, like create the space for you. A lot of like moms, you know, you can lose yourself in motherhood. And like, not a mom yet, but I had a mom, and she would wake up at 5 a.m. or 4:30 in the morning and work out, and like she had her you time. She had her you time, and she like I asked her recently. I was like, Mom, what did you do like if you didn't wake up that early? And like Ashley and I, my sister and I, were like up and moving about, and she was like, I would literally put a gate in front of your bedroom and be like, go play. It's mommy time. Wow. Like you have to choose yourself, ladies. Like you're at some point you may become a mom, you may become a wife. Like remember that you are also still you, and you have to continue to be you. So you need to create that space for that self-love and self-care. Take yourself on solo dates even when you're married. I think it's a beautiful thing.
Yes, I completely agree with you.
Yeah,
there's a lot I could say. I'm just
I know I could talk all night.
Tongue because it's like, all right, we're gonna stick with the questions on the paper.
I know. I'm sorry.
Okay, so Annaliese. You look beautiful, by the way. Did she not look? Who saw the fashion show?
Woo!
I was like, does your hair always have like a gleam? Like, how does blonde hair have such a gleam?
You think that I was like, I don't know. Oh, sure, we'll flip it up. Can you hear me now? Okay, there we go. Yeah, no, I was thinking I need a brush, but I'm glad that you say that. I was like,
it was glowing.
Well, thank you.
So, yes, you're very welcome.
That's why I sat in front of the sign right here, you know.
Is the backlighting good, though?
It is good. You look great. Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like you get a nice glow here, though. You guys are looking good.
Fine.
You're looking good. Don't worry.
Take what we can get.
Of course.
All right. So here we go. So how did you distinguish yourself among all the other ladies on The Bachelor?
I think this is such a tricky question, and I feel like if I think about how I distinguished myself differently from the other ladies, like back then, that was actually my problem, is that I was trying to find the difference between us. When I was on The Bachelor, I was constantly comparing, and I was very much aware of, oh, she has a better job. Oh, her boobs look better. Like every little detail of why she might be better than I am. And so I actually feel like distinguishing myself differently outside of the other women was a huge problem. And I think that's actually something that even today I really work on comparison and trying to stay away from comparison. Because I think the thing is that we can totally look at those things and build each other up and be really inspired by the differences between us. I think since being on The Bachelor, my life is just, like Kelly was saying, I found a lot of ways where I have grown in my own way. And it's amazing to me too, because I think having people look at you from the outside, they always think you're that person still. But like the first time I was on The Bachelor was 5 years ago. And I'm like, when you think about who you were when you went into high school versus who you were when you came out, so much changes, right? And then we've had a pandemic and we've had other relationships, deaths, like all sorts of things that happen in life. And so I think I've just really grown a lot in myself, in my own journey. I've tried to stay involved because I think there's some really beautiful opportunities that have come from it, but I also am trying to step out and like have a career outside of it. And yeah.
Well, no, these are really great points. Definitely the comparing game is the worst game on the whole planet. And it's obviously hard. Like it's good to have some kind of competitive edge, of course, right? And you want to stay motivated, right? Like I was saying at our last event, Megan's gonna kill me, but every event I would say, like, when I first had my baby, I was like very settled to look the way I looked, right? But I was on Zoom calls with Meagan every day, and I was like,
I'm motivated.
all right, we got to get going here back, to becoming yourself again in my own way, but not in a weird comparing way, but just, staying motivated and competitive. There's an importance to that. But in regards to not comparing, I mean, this is like, you'll never win that game, right? Because it's
right. And we're always changing and growing as people and evolving. And so I think a lot of times too, we compare ourselves even to who we were back then. And we're like, oh, I want to be that person still. But you might not be that person still. So I think even like, I've become a no filter kind of person on social media, because I feel like even that is me comparing myself to who I want to be, who I think I want people to see me as. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, no, I want people to look at my Instagram and go, oh, okay, she has some crow's feet, or she's, like, I feel seen. I don't feel like she's this like crazy whatever fake person on social media, and I think that's like, even with Zooms, I notice that a lot, where I'm like, just, we want to embrace who we are and continue to grow and embrace that person who we are evolving into every day.
Yes,
so true.
Whole other
Especially
topic, the
Megan
social
and I with
media.
Instagram. That's a whole other.
It is,
seminar.
because it's like the filters and the things and you only get the perfect moments, right? And we all know that behind closed doors, everything is much different. So you have to kind of remember that sometimes, right? We're all trying to do our best. Yes, it is. So, yeah.
So, okay, well, we do have another question for you. Back to relationships, okay? So how do you keep it real in a relationship even when the camera is rolling the whole time?
So I found this very difficult, hence my departure on my first season. And then I totally spiraled. I was like, this is not for me because of the comparison. And I felt very much like I had to be on, and I had to, like the moments that I had, Ari was my bachelor, the moments that I had with him, I felt like, I have to make him fall in love with me in like 10 seconds. I only have like 5 minutes. And so I wasn't able to just kind of like let it happen naturally. And this is actually, something in real life too. It's like things don't have to happen so fast. And that's actually something I'm doing a lot more now too, is like, it's okay if a relationship just eases and takes its time and slowly develops. You don't need to have this like love bombing or like this codependency right off the get-go from somebody. It's fun, but like those are not the most sustainable relationships a lot of times. And so for me, keeping it real on The Bachelor was not easy. When I went to Paradise, it was easier because I had an instant connection with somebody. And so I think at the end of the day, I think for The Bachelor, it's so much of a chemistry thing. Like if you have it, you have it, and if you don't, you don't. If I would have had great chemistry with Ari, I probably would have kept on, because it would have been more natural even in those like 3 minutes that I had with him. But because it wasn't natural, I was fighting so hard to be like, okay, I gotta be this, I gotta be that. And it was making me anxious and awkward and not knowing what to say because I was just trying so hard. So I think when you have that natural chemistry, and we can all we've all been on those first dates where like you either have great conversation and you're like, oh, this was easy. Or you go on a date and you're like, okay, cool. Like, this is really awkward and I'm trying, and, and you can feel it from them. And so I think it's a bit like that. Like you either have it or you don't. So I think keeping it real for me, I was trying to be real. And I think that was actually another thing that was hard. I think if you're going on it to be an actor, you're going to be able to go a lot further. But when you're going on and you're genuinely trying to find a connection between somebody, it's also, you're being yourself. So you're putting yourself out there, and if it's there, it's there. If it's not, it's not.
Awesome.
I mean, it's definitely a really good point, right? Because I feel like we've all experienced that. And it's a good reminder as well. Because sometimes you want something to work so bad, and it's just like, maybe this is not the right person, and you will find that individual. Actually, this whole what you're saying is beautiful because it segues into what I want to ask Lauren. So thank you for everything that you shared. Yes. So we're going to talk about the compromising topic. So tell us about not compromising when in relationships. What's your viewpoint? Yes. Let's go. Let's go for it.
I mean,
I'm not naive enough to think that there's no level of compromising in a relationship. Obviously, even like, I'm not married, but like I know from watching my parents' marriage and my own relationships and being single and dating and stuff, like any form of, in friendships too, like you're gonna have to compromise. Yes. But there are certain things that you gotta know, and this is something I'm still learning, and I think it changes all the time. Like years go by, and like my core values might differ, or something that was important to me 5 years ago doesn't matter now, or vice versa. So I mean, I think there's just a lot of things you gotta know about. Sorry, I'm holding the mic like I'm doing like karaoke, and I'm like, hey.
Maybe after this, that's what we should tell the DJ we should do.
I'm in. Do not tempt me. But I think that you just got to know your core values and like what you will budge on and what you will not budge on.
Yes. No, that's true. And then so for you, you kind of like know those when you're getting on the dating scene or whatever the case may be.
And I mean, it's not always like, I know everything that I want and I don't want. It's not necessarily like that. Like it is. Some people can do that. But for me, sometimes it takes me, unfortunately for me, it has taken me like going through bad experiences to know what and compromising my own things that I didn't know were my things. And
like what?
Just like,
well,
cheating might be one that comes to mind at first. But just like, being like, on the topic of cheating there, like just that specifically, I know it's a big one, obviously, like, well, he cheats on you, you should dump him. But like, what if I'm in love? I've been with this guy for 4 years, and I'm like my first big love. It's like harder then, and you let that person get away with a lot more than you will the next and the next and the next and the next.
That's true.
And so I think it's just a matter of you don't know until you put yourself out there, really.
Yeah, totally. Or
So
having
even
those.
also finances, like some people think, oh, they want this vision, but then you have the person and perhaps you feel like nothing, right? So there are these concepts or ideas that you think you want, but once you're there, perhaps that wasn't what you really wanted. Just I don't know if that's something that's been real to you,
Exactly,
but
like things I thought were important
right.
that I wanted so badly. Like my list of the perfect guy is different than from a year ago than it is today. So
It's like exactly what Kelly you were saying. Like you
Yeah.
wanted all the physical things, and then you realize that maybe there's other things that are more important. So you have to realize what your non-negotiables are, and then find the compromising things, like me forcing my husband to go to Carrie Underwood with me. Right? We're gonna compromise.
I feel
on
like that's
topic.
also not that big of a compromise for him. She's got like the best legs I've ever seen.
I know.
In my life,
I was like, he can check her out. What's the big deal? You're just gonna
like he gets eye candy
got
for an
something to
hour.
look at. Perfect. No, it's good. Okay, well, you look gorgeous. You're gorgeous. And I'm sure all of you probably get this question too, but I'm specifically going to ask you, Lauren, because we know that there's those like, we've all experienced that. Those people that ask you questions and you're like, why are you asking me this? It's kind of negative. Like, what are you fishing for, first of all? And this is not really important, but I'm sure you get it. We get random questions too all the time. Maybe not this one, but we're like, okay, how do we handle this with in PR way or an honest way? So what do you say when someone says, how is a person like you still single? Right? I'm sure you've gotten that one.
That's what I say. No, I know that this question is hopefully never asked with an ill intent.
Yes.
And it's usually asked by like a family member or someone who's your friend that's married, or I don't know, strangers on the internet that watch Love is Blind and watch me get dumped behind a wall. But like, it's one of those things where I was just telling Kelly about this too. Recently, a friend who is one of my friends who's married, asked me this, and she was like, literally, how are you still single? I was making her laugh, and I'm hilarious and beautiful.
All the things.
Whatever. And she asked me, she's like, oh my God, how are you still single? And I just clapped back so quick that I didn't even know these words came out of my mouth until they did. And I was like, how are you still married? And she was like, why would you ask me that? I was like, because you asked me that. Like, how did it make you feel? Yes. And she's like, I was a little offended. And I was like, well, so was I. And like, I know you didn't mean it in a bad way or an offensive way, but like, sometimes it feels for anyone who may or may not have asked this question to your friends who are eligible singles, just know that it kind of makes you feel like it almost seems like you're being like, literally, what is wrong with you? Yeah. And I'm like, and honestly, a few years ago, when people would ask me this question, I would be like, I would internalize it, and I would be like, fuck, like what is wrong with me? Like, why am I still single? Like, if people think I'm this and I'm that, am I that or this? And I don't know. I don't know why am I still single? But like, first of all, having a boyfriend or being in a relationship is not the only like form of validation in your life. Like, let's just like put that out on the table there first. Yeah. And then also, it's not always my thing. Like, it's not because they don't like me. Yeah. It's because I don't like them. Exactly. Like, half the time, it's not necessarily like, oh, if I wanted a boyfriend, if I wanted to be married, like if I just wanted those things, that's all I cared about, I could have done that. I'm 30 years old. I live in the freaking South. Yeah. I could have done that. Yes. Like, I could have done that.
Many yes.
But I didn't want to, and I didn't want to compromise, and I didn't, there was a lot of growth I needed to do, and whether I recognized that or not, it kind of manifested itself out into the world like that, and people who I dated and just didn't work out, and it is what it is. But like, it's just a weird question to be asked, and I honestly do get this question probably like weekly in my DMs, like from people who watch the show, and like I was one of the only people when you watch Love Is Blind that like the first few episodes, I was the only one they showed getting dumped behind the walls for the engagement stuff. And so I do get that question a lot. People are like, oh, if I was there, I would have picked you. And, how are you? How did nobody pick you? How, like, it's not always like, how are you still single, but how did they not pick you or something? And I'm like, I don't know, I have a shit personality, I guess. Because I'm obviously beautiful, but I was behind the wall. So. It wasn't my looks. It was my horrifying personality. But I say that as a joke. I think I'm cool. But
I love it.
But I just think it's like a little weird to ask that question. I think it should just be a question we abolish. Let's like agree to do that. Yeah. And I won't ask you why you're still married if you don't ask me why I'm still single. Because it's not always because people don't like me. Which is what I used to think. It's because I don't like them. Because I have standards and I don't want to compromise, and I'm not just going to go on a date or be a girlfriend for whoever. Yes. So, yeah, anyway, I'm going to stop there.
No, it's great.
Clearly, I'm triggered by that question.
I think that's really important. I don't know what happened to the mic. I guess I was talking too much. But no, it's really, really important. I mean, dating is not easy. I was like a very good dater when I lived in Manhattan. And one year I did go out, I think I went out with 30 different guys on dates, right? Because it's easy to meet guys in Manhattan. You're on the street, right? And I was like,
those two things together. You mean you're walking, there's lots of men. I don't think you're working a corner, but she's got her street, she's got her block. No, I'm kidding.
Clarifying.
There's a lot of men walking the streets.
Yeah,
and lots of restaurants they can take you to.
Yeah, but the truth is, I knew on the first date if I could actually be with this guy forever. I kind of just knew, right? So whether they called me or didn't call me, it's like, no, I decided this wasn't going to be the right fit, right? And out of all of these different dates, there was actually one guy that year that I liked. So it's like a numbers game, right? It is what it is. And then you finally get married and you wish you were single again, So it's kind of like, this is why, the comparing and the whatever kind of is just like, it's the end of it. Like, you find the right person, you move on or not, whatever, right? Anyways, I think you have the next question.
Actually, I'm all out of questions. Do you want to take audience couple? Yeah, we could do some audience.
Yeah, does anyone have any questions in the audience?
Anyone? Yeah. I mean, this is like a very exciting opportunity.
Right. And I know. Yeah.
And so in the future, tell them
And that is what I say.
No matter
now.
how much money they have, no matter what career, no matter what they look like, there's standards that you have that you won't compromise. And I think that your friends just think you're an amazing lady.
Yes.
They don't understand.
Listen, I agree. I'm an amazing lady, okay? I didn't always think that. But I will say, like, that is the response I give. And like I said in the very beginning of that question, like, I know it's 99% of the time not asked with an ill intent. Like, it's not asked in, like, a aggressive or mean-spirited way. And I try to be, like, nice about it, but sometimes you just...
No, it's definitely an
Okay.
introvert. I'm on the same page with you on it being introverting because I was single for a long time, and my mom's boyfriend would ask me to different people, and I actually would get really upset because I would be like, yeah, it's like a question that makes you, think about all the answers. So I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, but yeah, it's kind of like skip it. Like it's kind of the golden rule. Like you turn it around. If someone asked you that, how would you feel? It's kind of how you assess anything you do in life, or we hope everyone does.
Yes.
There's a rare few that don't. We have a whole other panel we could talk about on that. But let's. Does anyone else have a question? Yes.
This is for everyone on the panel. If you could do it all over again and choose an era, would you want to choose an era where there's no such thing as social media and it's just you and a handful of eligibles that you come across in your life? Or do you like the way it is right now where swap, left, right, there's so many coming at you?
Yeah, that's true.
I would fully do this in a time of no social media. I think especially, for dating shows, I think you get maybe more quality people that aren't just going on it for the exposure of TV. But I also feel like just in life, like the dating apps and things like that, I miss the days when people actually had to get your phone number, call you up. Like it just was so much more effort. And the fact that they're putting in that kind of effort made a huge difference. Like nowadays it's just swipe and you might have 2 or 3 conversations online and then you never hear from them again. And it's just, there's that, the
Endless options.
endless options. The grass is always greener. There's just, that's my feeling.
Wow. Yeah, I would totally choose pre-social media as well. It was interesting on Love is Blind. We were talking through a wall, and it